Hi, I'm Paul from Paul's Fashion Tailor Shop from Samui. So this is here, I show you self home measurements formula. Okay, this is cool. So this is as a sample to see. So for now I measure for the jacket and the shirts in the same time. But there are some differences on a measurement for the jacket and the shirt. But I will show you what I'm measuring. So before we measure, we have to look at the body of the man we are measuring, we are looking at. So on that point, the first we have to look at how he is standing as a stance. Sometimes some people are standing a little bit forward, or some people are really erect, or some people are normal. So we have to make a note on it. And we also have to look at the customers, the guy we are measuring, his shoulders foundation also. That's what we call shoulder slopes. So someone has a normal shoulder, someone has a more slopes, someone has a erect here. That's a very straight. We have to check these 2 points. And then we also have to check the stomach, like normal, a little bit fat or belly. We see it straight ahead. So now I show you the places we have to measure. So we have to measure the chest, waistline, and the hips line. Here you go. So when we measure the chest area, we have to measure the biggest part of the chest. And we try to make sure the tapes are straight on the back also. Like this. And we also have to make sure that the tapes are not tied like this or not loose either. So just a little bit putting one finger into the tapes. Just the tape can be movable like this. Yeah. And we measure the waist for the jacket and shirts. So when we measure the waistline, we have to measure the smallest part of the waist. So here he goes, here's the smallest area. We have to check the back part also, that the tape is straight. Done. Now we have to measure the hips. When we measure the hips, we have to measure the biggest part of the hips. Like this. So we have done 3 things. Now we measure the front chest. So when we measure the front chest, we have to measure from the angle this point between the arm and the chest tunnel, from here to there. Not too much going in or not too much out also, just at the angle. Now we have to measure the back, the same thing at this area. And in this point, we have to make a note. If the client is a bodybuilder, so we have to make a bigger space here because the bodybuilder has big muscles here, so we move able this area. And a huge fat man also. Now I will show you how to measure for the shoulder. So that when we measure the shoulder, we have to measure at the peak point from here, at the end of the shoulder to the beginning of the arm. Okay? So this is here we go. Not in this way. We have to go to this way. So now we measure the sleeve length. So where we have end for the shoulder, that we start from there to this point. To this point, at the beginning of the joint point of the fingers and the thumb. Like this. So this is S shirts measurement for the shoulder and the sleeve. Now we measure for the jacket. So when we measure the jacket, same this way. So we have to make a bit wider on the shoulder because we have a shoulder pad and the arm is different from to the shirts. So when we make the same length as a shirt, again when you move the arm, it will be a bit uncomfortable, and then you can see the bicep here also. So we have to make a little bit wider on the shoulder to compare to the shirts. So now we can measure to this point to this point. And now we measure for the sleeves. We make around 1 centimeter shorter than 1 centimeter shorter than when we have a measure for the sleeve for the shirts, because some everyone know, like the jacket sleeve has to be a little bit shorter. So we have measured before here. So to this point, the joint of the fingers to the thumb, so we will go for around 1 centimeter shorter, like in this way. Now we measure the biceps. This is as an ordinary man. If you are bodybuilder, so make the arm as a big. So we measure like this. And we measure the forearm. And we measure the waist. Now we measure the length. So on the length, measurements between the shirts and the jackets are also different. As here, on a measuring for the jacket length, we can measure by 2 ways. As the first way, we measure from here, the base of the neck, to the middle of the thumb, this way. Or we can measure from here, from the base of the neck to the floor as a straight line, and then we can go for halfway. Or if you are a big tummy man, then we have to measure one way this way. As a second, we have to measure from here, the bone he has, to the bottom, and we go for halfway. And when we push the jacket on, the bottom will be more or less same. So we have to measure for some points, like if he has a calf or forward stance, so we have to measure both measurements. I will remind once again. If you are a tummy man, we have to measure both measurements, front and back full length. And if you are a little bit forward man, so we have to measure from here to there, and from both ways. Now we measure for the neck for the shirts. At the base of the neck, not higher, not down. By putting one finger into the tips. And then when we measure the neck, so you have to also make a note, someone has a very short neck, someone has a normal neck. So by this way we can probably make sure it's perfect neck. And now we measure the length of the shirts. This is the difference. So now before we had measure from here to the bottom as a halfway as a jacket length. And now we measure from the halfway and we make it 2 inches shorter than the shirts, 2 inches shorter than the jacket length. So then the shirt will be covered when we put the jacket on, will be perfect. And some people like to have a bit shorter or longer. It is depend on them as a normal measurements. So this is all. Thank you very much indeed for the shirts and the jacket measurements. Hi there. Now I will show you how to measure the pants. On a pants, we have to check some points. We have to make a notes that do the customer has a bigger panel from this point or not. Someone has a normal, someone has a big, the whole thigh, or someone as a sportman or as a bodybuilder, they have the front thigh is big. So we have to take a note for that. And then we also have to take a note for the back seat. this area. Someone has a very thin, someone has normal, someone has a large, and someone has a really curve. So we have to really take seriously, make a note. And now we measure for the waist of the pants. And when we have to ask, we have to make sure where he's really wearing the waistline for the pants. So we measure where he will point us. So this line as a waistline. And when we measure the waist for the pants, we have to make sure there's nothing stuck into the tapes, and not very tight in this way, not loose either, as normally. In the right place, in this way. Now we will measure the hips line. Let the leg to be together at the biggest area of the hips. In this way is sometimes not enough, so we have to make sure the tape is comfortable in this way. I show you once again here. So now, by measuring perfectly, he has a 40. Just to show you, it's not falling down. So it's mean when he sit down, when he walks, it could be a bit tight on this area. So we have to make sure the tape will probably go down slowly, steadily, and then we have to let the tape out slowly and a little bit. So you see, in this point, that's around a 3 centimeters difference. So we have to make sure it is perfect. And now we have to measure the cross line. Can this please? So now we measure this way. At the same place where he showed us for the waistband of the pant, we start from the back, the front. This way. And we have to make sure that the tape is not going into the crotch or not loose either. So we really have to make sure that it is comfortable. Check this way. Now we measure the tight area. That is where he has the biggest tight area, in this way. And now we measure the length. Now we will measure the length of the trousers. So where he has point us for the waistline, we make the waistline as a base, okay, on a measurement. We start from here, directly to the floor, directly to the floor. I show you once again. From here, directly to the floor. And when a customer has a bigger tummy, we have to measure the front. If the his tummy is bigger, so the waist will probably falling down farther and higher at the back. So we have to measure at the time 2 measurements as where he has front will be down from here to the floor, and then we make a note at how much the difference are the lengths, like this, like this. We also have to measure if he has a bigger hips, and then if he has a calf hips, and we have to measure the both length, front length, back length, and mainly side length also. So this is all measurements for the pants. When we measure the measurements, we have to say to be relaxed, not making strong or big or whatever. Just be relaxed, being normal. And then when we measure the length, so we have to ask to the customer that do they have a same leg or no. Someone has a difference, unfortunately. So thank you very much indeed. This is all measurements that we need for the pants. So now after we have measurements, we have to ask some few questions to the customer that do they want a super fitted or fitted, normal, or a bit more comfortable. So in this point we can make the calculation by measurements, and the clothes will be as he has said. So thank you very much indeed. This is all measurements for the jacket, shirts, and the